and welcome. You are watching Business Today Television. This is Market Today. I'm Sakshi Batra and with me is Shail Bhatnagar. Well, the stock markets made a new record intraday high yesterday with the Nifty clocking in 22,529 for the first time, and that too at the beginning of the new fiscal year. Although it could not sustain above those levels, in fact, the day really belonged to the broader markets truly. The small cap index gained about 3% in trade, led by the real estate and the metal pack that rallied in trade yesterday and pulled up the entire markets with itself. Almost every sector, barring just about auto and FMCG, did well, and many of the stocks really advanced as far as the broader markets are also, considered all-time highs. It was also a day when many stocks also touched 52-week high levels as well. The big question is, will the uptrend really sustain? Well, you will get to know all of it about the trade setup, the early morning trading trends, as well as what the experts are saying on this very show. Very good morning to all our viewers and good morning to you, Shail.
Good morning to our viewers. Let's just look at the chart of the Nifty, which is right there in front of you. And given the fact that we've just started the financial year, और आज मंगलवार है तो सब मंगल ही होगा. There are a lot of interesting hues and colors to what is there as far as the Nifty is concerned. The chart is right there in front of you. If you see the last 4 or 5 trading sessions from the low of March 20th, which was 21,730, we've appreciated about 700 points, and yesterday 22,530 was the intraday high, which also is the all-time high, and that is where a lot of resistance came in. That resistance actually is something that needs to be looked at, but the overall trend, the tenor and the underlying granularity of the market is towards the bullish side, and it's only a matter of time when you'll see higher ranges coming in as far as the Nifty is concerned. 2 or 3 things that are in positive as far as the index is concerned is the GST collection number that's come in about 1.8 lakh crore rupees, up about 11.5% for the month of March. That takes heart as far as the market is concerned, because it points to a lot of strength as far as the broader economy is concerned, that is getting reflected on the Nifty. Now, what will the index do today? Most likely you see cues coming in from the GIFT Nifty which point to a certain weakness as far as the early morning trade is concerned. That is an absolute certainty. If you look at the option picture of the Nifty, you see a lot of put writing happening at 22,300 levels. In fact, if you look at how a very strong support has been built, the maximum amount of put writing is at 22,300. About 46,700 contracts have been added as far as bulls are concerned. So this level is a very, very strong support, and any dip towards 22,300 is something that needs to be purchased on an intraday level. What is the resistance? Well, it's 22,500, where about 60,380 contracts on a fresh side have been added by the bears. So that's the resistance in front of you. The FII data is a bit negative. You've seen 522 crores worth of sales in the cash market, and the option selling is about on the index side at about 7,000 crores. So the resistance at 22,500, the support at 22,300, and any dip towards 22,300 should be something that needs to be purchased. So something like 22,380, 350, that's the buy zone, and 22,500 again, 490, 530 is a zone where you exit the trade. Should the index settle above 530 as far as the intraday positioning is concerned for about say half an hour, then obviously levels which are higher, 22,600, 22,650 open up. So an intraday purchase and an exit beyond 22,530 is what the intraday positioning of the Nifty is. In terms of strength, HDFC Bank, Reliance, ICICI, Larsen and Bajaj Finance are in very good shape, especially HDFC Bank. You see the highest level since 2nd of February, and that's heartening for both the Nifty and the Bank Nifty bulls.
let's also look at how the global cues are then shaping up. So remember the Dow Jones and the S&P 500 edged lower yesterday, and this was largely dragged down by the investor worries over the timing of the interest rate cuts by the Federal Reserve after the stronger than expected manufacturing data that pushed the treasury yields higher in trade. Now the US manufacturing data really grew for the first time in 18 months. Remember, it had been contracting straight for 16 months odd, and this positive data was ushering in some kind of nervousness about what will the Fed trajectory be as far as the interest rate cut hopes are building up for the month of June. Now, following this, we actually saw the Nasdaq just eking out about 0.1% of the gains, but both the Dow Jones and the S&P 500 ended lower. The Asian markets were trading with just marginal gains in early trade, with the Nikkei up about 0.3% in trade. Kospi, Hang Seng. Hang Seng is the one that actually, pulled up in trade 2.5% higher. Shanghai was a bit lower in trade, but the trends in the GIFT Nifty indicated a weak start for the broader index in India, with a loss of about 0.4% odd in trade. So a gap down start is what it was indicating. Now, as far as the flows are also concerned, remember the FII's net sold shares worth about 522 odd crore rupees in yesterday's trading session, while the domestic institutional investors purchased about 1208 crore rupees worth of stocks in yesterday's trade. A lot of stocks that you need to keep an eye out on in trade today, which are in the news flow. So Infosys is going to be the first one I'm looking at. The IT services major has received a tax demand now of 341 odd crore rupees from the IT department. Remember, yesterday there was a relief, and therefore we saw the stock rally in the early part of trade yesterday. Zomato, on the other hand, has also received an order for demand of service tax of 92 odd crore rupees, along with interest and penalty of 92 crore rupees as well. Aditya Birla Fashion Retail, here it's going to be important to watch out for, because the board has now approved the demerger and separate listing of Madura Fashion and Lifestyle. So how that news really plays up. Yesterday the stock was up 3% odd. RIL is going to be in focus, and the entire telecom space too, along with Reliance Industries, because Jio here has crossed the 100 million mark of 5G users. Airtel has 75 million users at the end of March, and it's the 22nd straight month for Jio to be constantly adding more subscribers in trade. So this entire space will be under watch list today. Of course, a whole host of auto sales numbers is what we saw yesterday. Some of them that came beyond the market hours. Ashok Leyland, the commercial vehicle maker, has recorded 4% on a year-on-year decline in the total vehicle sales that came in at 22,866 units. Domestic sales also fell about 7% here. TVS Motor, here the two-wheeler and the three-wheeler maker, has recorded 12% year-on-year growth in the total sales of 3.5 lakh units for March 2024. Hero MotoCorp, here there is a decline of about 5.5% in the total sales that the company has recorded, as of March. And apart from this, let's also shift focus to some stocks from the small banking finance space. AU Small Finance Bank, that's going to be important to watch out for, because it's now amalgamated Fincare Small Finance Bank, marking it the first such consolidation in this sector. So we'll see how that really plays out. Remember, yesterday the stock was up 4% odd, so that's going to be an important one to watch out for. Of course, on the macro front, we do see that the crude oil prices are constantly inching up. They edged up about 1% to a 5-month high on Monday, on expectations that the oil demand will climb following the release of positive economic news from the US and China, while OPEC plus cuts and attacks on Russian refineries, they tightened the global supplies as well. Apart from this, of course, on the domestic front, as far as the macro data is concerned, remember India's goods and services tax mop-up for March 2024 came in at 1.78 lakh crore rupees. This is the second highest collection ever, registering an 11.5% year-on-year growth as well. For the entire fiscal year 2024, the gross GST collection stood at 20.14 lakh crores. That's an increase of 11.7% compared to the previous year as well. So those are the data points that I'll be watching out for. Shail.
Okay. The other thing we missed was the Bank Nifty, ladies and gentlemen. The Bank Nifty is in better shape compared with the Nifty, and that's primarily on account of HDFC Bank. 2 or 3 important parameters there to be discussed. Among them is the fact that you have the Monetary Policy Committee meeting starting tomorrow, April 3rd, which is a 2-day event, and on April 5th is the credit policy. The strength of the index, which is the Bank Nifty, is visible right there on the chart. You have a 2.5 week high as far as the index is concerned, and a very, very strong setup on the option 47,000 is a very, very strong setup as far as put writing is concerned. And of course, at the moment, 47,800, 47,900 seem to be opening up primarily on account of HDFC Bank and the strength that we've seen in ICICI Bank. If you look at how HDFC Bank has shaped up, the stock is now at its highest level since February of 2nd, and we all know that this has the strongest weightage both in the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. So the base level is 47,300. Any dip towards that needs to be purchased, and the resistance level is 47,650. Anything near that needs to be exited. 2 points of caution is what is necessary as far as Bank Nifty and the Nifty is concerned, and they all are meant for intraday bears. Ladies and gentlemen, we are seeing a very, very strong bout of short covering happening over the last 2 or 3 sessions within the ITM calls of the option chain for the Nifty and the Bank Nifty. It essentially means if you don't agree with the trend which is up, it's better to stay out. Do not try to short these indices, and any tips towards decent support levels to the extent of 22,300 on the Nifty and 47,000 on the Bank Nifty needs to be purchased on an intraday basis. Sakshi.
All right, a whole host of brokerage houses reports is what I'm keeping an eye out on as well today. So it will be important to watch out for the defense space again, and the defense companies that are on the radar of Jefferies. Jefferies believes the government's focus on building country-to-country relations to promote exports is icing on the cake, and 2x growth in the domestic defense spend in FY24 estimated to FY30 estimated should continue to drive the stocks upside as well. So that's a positive report really coming through as far as Jefferies is concerned. So the entire space will be in focus in today's trade as well. Real estate, remember yesterday this index was the outperformer, and of course for the entire fiscal year 2024 it has been a strong outperformer with 140% increase. Here Morgan Stanley continues to give some upgrades on specific stocks from the real estate basket. So it's upgraded Godrej Properties to overweight with the target price that's been raised from 2,050 to 2,500. However, it's downgraded DLF to equal weight rating with a target price which continues to rise for them from 770 to 900 rupees is what they have increased the target price to. Both Prestige and Godrej Properties they believe should grow faster in terms of the pre-sales on a year-on-year basis, and they also expect FY25 guidance of 10 to 20% year-on-year growth, which could be however lower than FY24 actual growth of plus 30% year-on-year however. Now on the real estate space itself, CLSA has come out with a clear rating on Prestige Estates. Here it's given a buy rating with a target price that's raised to 1520 rupees, as well as it has signed a 20 billion rupee deal with ADIA and Kotak AIF to fund residential growth, and targets of 15 to 20% pre-sales growth is what they are penciling in right now. Of course, the huge scale up in rental and hotel portfolio is an add-on for Prestige as per CLSA. One is Adani Ports. Remember, the stock has been constantly on an uptrend, and here Morgan Stanley has given an overweight rating with a target price of 1,576. And here they believe that the cargo volumes that have been on a rise, especially year-on-year basis, we've seen an 18% increase as of the March 2024 data. So the strong volume growth is going to be supportive of the double-digit growth that could be coming forward from here as well. The last one that I'm watching out for is Dixon Technologies. Here Morgan Stanley has given an underweight rating with a target price of 5,241, and they do believe that the company expects to close FY24 with a revenue of 180 billion rupees, and key growth drivers could include mobile and IT hardware. Exports are likely to increase from 10% to about 20 to 25% in the revenues over the next 5 years is what they have given this report as share.
Okay. Mr. Devash Vakil is with us. He's the Deputy Head for Retail Research at HDFC Securities. A very warm welcome to you, Devash. Second day of the financial year, the market's raring to go higher and higher. I'm sure it's a great time to be on the Lal Street. 2 points I'd like to take your view on. One, what do you think is the sentiment as of now? And how do you read these GST tax collections?
Good morning, and thank you for having me on the show. So it is indeed a great time to be on the Dalal Street. The last financial year has been one of the best financial years for many investors. So, as you mentioned, the Indian economic growth trajectory is on the upswing, and uh, year after year, day after day, whatever data which we are seeing, the economic data, that is also validating that fact. This GST number is also uh, showing us that the um, 1.7 lakh crore is, I think, the second highest collection ever, and about 11.5% YY growth. For the full year, we have seen collection about 20 lakh crore, 20.4 lakh crore, which is also about 11%, 11.7% higher. So, whatever government plans to do with the uh, tax collection, what are the schemes where they want to spend, the flow of the money is there to help support those schemes. Now, where do government is spending? Government is likely to spend all this money. Obviously, infrastructure is the area where we have been reiterating that in an election year, obviously this money is going to spend there. And since code of conduct has already been into place, we will not see new announcements. But obviously, post the if this tax collection continues, the next government will also continue to spend on infrastructure. The overall sentiment on the Dalal Street is little mixed. Many people are cautious on the street. Many have raised a lot of capital in anticipation of a fall, but I don't think that caution will be rewarded with lower prices. I think the fundamentals are intact. The flow is there, and hopefully, these next after the election, we will have a stable government, and that will also bring out new triggers for the market to move higher. So I think it is obviously some pockets of the market where there is a lot of threat. We have to be a little cautious, but overall, we continue to remain optimistic on the market.
Okay.
Okay. Devash, I'd like to draw your attention to, how the Indian Meteorological Department has predicted a very strong heat wave coming in over the next 3 months as far as North India is concerned. How would you rate Voltas in this light? The PCR has drawn a long-term chart for Voltas. Yesterday there was a massive breakout. The stock is now at its highest level since May of 2022. Any view that you have on Voltas?
We do. We have a ad rating on the Voltas. We had covered the company around $1,000, and I think it has moved to something like 1150, which is close to our target. So we may not we will not ask investors to invest at these prices, but if there were to any dip back to the 1,000 levels, I think it is going to be a good investment. And not only in Voltas, I think the overall electric equipment or this fast moving consumer durables area, I think that is the area which will have a lot of traction going forward. As we know that we are moving from sub $2,000 to a eventually a $3,000 $4,000 economy per capita. What do what is the major change which happens when countries move from this lower per capita to the middle income area? That's where we have seen in US or in many parts of the world that this consumption of such goods go through the roof. So obviously, market has already discounted many of such companies in advance, and their valuations are not as cheap or as attractive as we would like it to be. But uh, uh, given that maybe the circumstances are that they have are looking at a long runway of growth for next 2 3 years. So any dip in such opportunities will be a good long-term investment opportunity to look for.
Very good morning to you, Devash. I wanted to begin by understanding from you. We are looking at the RBI policy coming up, and then we will also be look at the earnings season kick-starting. And of course, this month itself, starting 19th of April, we will also see elections take the center stage as well. How would you be positioning your fresh funds, deploying your fresh funds amid all of these now and charting a fresh trajectory in the new fiscal year?
Right. So two, three things are important. First is in the second half, after the post-election and post US starts cutting the interest rates, RBI will start thinking about reducing the rates. So I'm not expecting any interest rate cut now, but after May, June, there should be in the interest rates. That will also coincide with the one of the remarkable achievements of this government, which is not highlighted that much, that India will be added to a lot of global bond indices. First with the JP Morgan and then the Bloomberg. So these are the two smaller indices. If I last I checked, the third one, which is the largest, the FTSE, is about 6 times larger, and that should happen in 25. So June 24 to June 25, we may see a lot of money from global investors coming into India, coinciding with the interest rate cut. So that sets up a good macroeconomic environment for lower cost of capital. And if low cost of the capital is going to go down in this country and currency is going to remain stable, that means we can expect a lot of flows to come in post election results. So that's where we are positioning our investors, that interest rates are headed lower, try to benefit from that movement. Foreign capital is likely to come into this country, and hopefully the political stability will be there, which will lead to a lot of earnings growth, and try to anticipate that earning growth by getting into the stocks where opportunity is there. That's the overall outlook.
Okay, and as far as some stocks are concerned, at the beginning of FY25, where are you really keeping your focus on?
So first is the private sector banks. I think after last 2 years where we have been aggressively asking investors to look at PSU banks, now I think time has come that we should start adding the large private sector banks, smaller private sector banks, and I have discussed ICICI Bank, Axis Bank, stocks like Federal Bank. They are on our buy list now. Apart from that, real estate is one more sector where real estate, cement, construction companies is where we would like our investors to put more money overweight on their portfolio. I think that space will continue to do well. We got one more confirmation now by just in the morning comments I was listening that the large investors like Idea and Kotak are putting money into real estate projects like Prestige. So that also gives a reconfirmation that the growth or the capital to grow their businesses will be available for these real estate developers, and that reaffirms our conviction in the real estate space.
So top 2 or 3 stocks from the real estate space, which one are the top bets for you now?
So we have been quite bullish on the whole real estate space to look at the prices and see where the maximum upside is there. I think Kolte Patil is about 40% upside is there from 477 odd levels which is trading. I think we have a target of 624. So that's where we can look at. Brigade is one more where about 23% upside is there. Our target is at 1179. So purely on the recommendation wise, these two can be looked at, but we have a whole host of companies where we have been bullish. In past, we have recommended DLF, Oberoi Realty, Shobha, Phoenix Mill, Godrej Properties. From time to time, their prices have moved and they are near to the target. So these are two where the maximum upside is available now.
Okay. Devash, I'd like to draw your attention to Indigo as well. Of course, the stock is at a record high against the backdrop of boiling crude oil prices, which is should have pulled down the stock, but the strength continues. Also against the backdrop of problems faced by its competitor Vistara, where dozens of flights have been cancelled, and among the reasons given in media reports is a problem with the crews. How would you rate Indigo at current levels? The problem in the market, of course, is that a lot of quality stocks are now at record highs, and we have no other choice but to accept the price that the market gives us. So 3,500 on Indigo at a record high. What are the views that you have medium term fundamentally on this stock?
This clearly fits into our theme of middle class consumption. We don't have this company at this point in our coverage, but I'm actually very bullish on the aviation space as a whole. More and more disposable income means more and more people will be flying. And given the market structure where other competitors, which you named, or others like SpiceJet, which are facing problems because of the funding and because of the other operational issues, you have a player which has a market which is growing and which is likely to grow faster, and which has its operation in place. So obviously the stock has done quite well, remarkably well, and it is likely to continue to do well. Crude oil is a problem. Higher crude oil prices is a problem for these companies, but these people, because of the low competition, they are easily able to um, pass on the prices. Some many days, if we were to travel to Mumbai, while coming back to various destinations, the prices are even two times, three times three what we regularly pay. So obviously they are able to recover their costs, and that means that profitability is going to be intact despite higher crude oil prices. So we continue to like the space. We don't have coverage right now, so I don't have any price target for this company.
Okay, not an issue. The other theme that's running at breakneck speed in the market is gold futures at record highs, $22.74 an ounce in global markets, and there is absolutely no let up. Perhaps fresh liquidity coming in because of hopes that the U.S. Federal Reserve will lighten its view on interest rates. Be that as it may, your view on gold financing companies, Muthoot Finance and Manappuram, very, very strong gains coming in over the last 1 week or so.
Right. So we do have, we had covered these companies. So first of all, overall, I am very cautious on the dollar because the way they are printing the money where their deficit is, there is possibility that we may see some kind of weakness in dollar during this year. And that's why we have been bullish on the themes, which are all these commodities which are denominated in dollars are likely to be in demand. So precious metals, and apart from that, metals, I am bullish on them. So these are the plays on the gold prices, and gold prices are headed higher. It has been doing well, so obviously they are doing well. We continue to like Muthoot and Manappurams, but at this moment the prices have run up, and I don't see them. I don't warrant the prices doesn't warrant a new investment at these prices. The area where in finance or in NBFC sector where I am particularly bullish at these prices are the housing finance companies. They have seen a decent correction. There are a lot of regulatory action, and based on that, there was some correction in these stocks. But LIC Housing Finance, PNB Housing Finance, Repco Home, or any other such Canfin Home, these are the places where we have coverage, and I think there is potentially money to be made if we were to take investment now. So NBFCs, in particularly housing finance companies, are the area where I am looking at right now.
Okay, fine. When we do see the pre-opening trades herein, you're seeing the Nifty up about 0.2% in trade. That's 22,500 back on the screen, and we hope this really sustains in the market. But let's quickly look at some of the big movers at this point in time. And let's look at first the stocks like Infosys and Reliance Industries. Let's pull up all of those stocks because they are in news flow, and let's see how the first take is. Infosys up 1.3% at 15.15, 19 rupees higher in trade. Let's also look at Reliance Industries on the back of the Geo additions. That's also inching up higher, 0.3% higher in trade as of now. Let's also look at some of the, HDFC Bank is down by about 1%, but let's look at some of the defense names like HAL, BEL, where upgrades have come in from the defense space, and the space has been in the thick of action as well. Let's see how that is playing up in the early trade. So 0.6% of an uptick on HAL currently. BEL, let's look at that one too to see how the markets are shaping up as far as the defense space is concerned. Almost 1% higher for this one, 213. BHEL, let's pull up that one as well. Okay, so that's as far as the defense action is concerned. Let's look at Bharti Airtel as well, because we did see Reliance Industries, but the subscriber additions really came in for all three of them, Reliance Industry, Reliance Jio, Bharti Airtel, and also Vodafone. So let's look at Bharti Airtel, but absolutely flat at this point in time at 12.17. Let's look at the metal stocks that were the flavor of the season yesterday. So, Tata Steel, JSW Steel, stocks like Nalco, SAIL, and see if that action has continued. And of course, after that, we'll also look at the real estate pack as well. Flattish trade on Tata Steel, etc. at this point in time. SAIL also just about about 0.1% higher in trade. So that's the kind of move that we are looking at. Let's again look at some of the other stocks from the auto basket too. if that has seen some kind of move. TVS Motor, let's pull up that one. That showed an uptick as far as the sales figures are concerned. In fact, it recorded a record move as far as the growth is concerned on the sales figures as far as the month of March is concerned. So let's see how TVS Motor has shaped up, 2.5% higher. Strong move right there in the pre-opening action to 192. Devarsh, would you have a view on the entire auto pack, the way the sales figures have come off? We've seen Hero Moto reporting a decline, but TVS Motor really showing up in strength. How would you really look at the two-wheeler space specifically that had just off late started to move?
No, in fact, they have not started to move now. We have been bullish on this space, and I think they have reached a level where we have to be little cautious on them. The valuation have run up a lot. Something like TVS Motor, where we have a secular story, I think, and I have discussed this with you on the previous shows. I think back of their superior execution, I think this is a company which is buy and hold for a longer term. Eventually, I think they can be a index company compared to Bajaj and the Hero, which is part of the index now. So eventually, I am looking at this company growing much more than what it is right now. But other than that, in fact, I am more cautious on the two-wheeler space now, given the run-up in the companies. Opportunity is there in the personal vehicle or the PV space, where we have a buy on Mahindra and Mahindra with a um, around 1800 or so. We have covered it now, almost 1915. So that has also reached a level where we will wait for the level to come down. Opportunity is still there in the Maruti. There is space to go
In
up.
fact,
So
Bajaj Auto has just now reported its sales figures. The total sales have come in at 3.65 lakh units for Bajaj Auto. Would you care to give a view here?
I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I think
A
more or less
25% upside on a year-on-year basis.
so they have been doing quite well on the export front. I think that should have helped them, and also the buyback which they recently announced has also excited the street. But at this level, I will wait for the correction. Our fair value is much lower than what it is trading.
Okay.
Okay, let's look at some other stocks that are buzzing in the markets. You have Aditya Birla Fashion Retail up 10% at 232.80. The company had informed its shareholders yesterday that there will be a vertical demerger of Madura Garments as well as the other businesses of Aditya Birla Fashion Retail into two separate listed entities, so that better understanding on and a better attention can be paid to both businesses. Schneider Electric is up 5% again. You have a 6% uptick on CSB Bank, and a lot of other stocks such as one second please, such as Adani Power, again 5% higher on fairly decent volumes, and Clean Energy, TVS Motors and Chemplast are in the green. We are waiting for Mr. Amar Singh to join us. I don't think so. He's joined us as yet. Let's get Devarsh into the conversation. Devarsh, within the private banking space, anything that catches your fancy? Would you have a view on ICICI Bank?
Yes, I think the possibility of overall interest rates coming down this year is high. The liquidity problem which these banks are facing, there is a clear competition among banks to garner the deposits. I think this liquidity situation will improve going forward, and that's why there is opportunity. ICICI Bank, we have a report out with a target of 1220. So still about 10 to 11% upside is still left in the ICICI Bank. Apart from the larger banks, we do have a coverage in smaller banks like CUB and Federal Bank, where we have more than 20-25% upside left for the year. So if somebody were to allocate fresh capital, as you asked me in the beginning of the show, a smaller private sector bank is clearly an area where there is still money to be made.
Fair point. Amar Singh joins us, Senior Vice President Research at Angel One. Good morning to you, Amar. What a good time to be on the Lal Street these days. Your choice, Nifty or Bank Nifty for today? and 2 stock picks that you have in mind as far as technical charts are concerned.
I would say that overall Nifty looks better on the charts because if you look at Nifty is trading at record highs, and also we are seeing is that across the board we've seen some very good movements across different sectors, and the large caps have really held out well, be it Reliance, be it SBI, HDFC Bank to a certain extent has formed a bottom, ICICI, and other stocks also have been helping the index. IT stocks, yes, they have corrected, but overall it has been a broad-based, I would say, rally among. And the best part is that investors are also looking at large caps, given the markets are trading at record highs, and there's also expectation of volatility going forward because of the elections and maybe the US Fed policy. So the better choice would be Nifty because that continues to remain strong. Talking about stocks in particular, if I look at the metal stocks, Tata Steel is one stock which looks quite good. It is very strong on the charts. So I would look at Tata Steel as one of the picks because if you look at the key zone of resistance, it was somewhere finding resistance around the 155, 160 zone. That has been taken out yesterday and the stock is trading at record highs. And also, if you look at the charts on different time frames, you see that there is very strong bullish momentum on the intermediate term trend. Long-term trend also remains quite strong. So this is one stock one can definitely look at. Any pullback in the stock can be a buying opportunity. Ideally, the stop loss needs to be below 150 and the target on the upside is 175. So this is one stock one can definitely look at. And the other stock to look at is, I would say, Reliance is one stock one can definitely look at. It is though trying to form some sort of a breakout zone. So it needs to consistently sustain above the 3000 mark. So it's very close to that level. Taking that out, we could, it's not, I would say it's hardly 1% from the current level. So that's a level to watch out for. If the markets are to rally significantly, then Reliance also, there is a very high possibility that the stock would take out those resistance levels. So this is the second stock one can look at from a short-term trading perspective.
All right, very good morning to you, Amar. I'd like to draw your attention to the defense space stocks, where a slew of brokerage houses have upgraded some of them. Let's look at data patterns first. Here, Jefferies has given a target price of 3,545, and the stock has shot up in the pre-opening trade. About 7% up move is what we can see on data patterns. 2750 is currently where it is trading at, but the target price is a huge upside. 3545 is what they're believing in. Along with it, HAL, BEL stocks are also inching up higher, about 1 or 2.5% higher in trade. Of course, this is a space which has already performed. Stocks like HAL, they have more than doubled investors' money over the last 1 year or so. How would your fresh funds be deployed? Because the order flows keep coming in, positive data flows keep coming in for some of them.
Yeah, so looking at some of these defense stocks, see, if you ask me from a long-term, intermediate-term trend, they continue to be very strong. There's no doubt. Talking about first about data patterns, if you look at the intermediate-term trend, the long-term trend, there's no doubt that these are stocks which, till the time we don't see a trend change in the intermediate time frame, I would say any correction is a buying opportunity. Now, if you check to data pattern, on 4th of March, it had made a high of almost 3080, and from there it had corrected almost to 2100 levels. So that was a significant, over 30% correction which the stock had witnessed. But now again it is on a bounce back. So that tells me that there is definitely a lot of interest in these stocks. But at the same time, one needs to bear this in mind that we are going to see increased volatility in these stocks. So that's something is one definitely whoever is investing in the stocks needs to look at. If I talk about HAL again is in a different trajectory altogether. It also had corrected, now trading at record highs, and but at current levels entering, because the big question is the risk reward ratio. So someone who had bought in the first week of March, now that level is coming. So ideally what one needs to do is that on any significant correction of 10, 15, 20%, that's the time you can add on to the stocks rather than going and buying all out at the all-time highs.
Okay. Let me get Devarsh into the conversation as well. On the defense pack, Devarsh, any particular stocks that you would continue to deploy fresh money in?
Not now. I think many of these defense space players have done remarkably well. We had covered some of the shipyards and the in this aeronautics company in the past, but I think we will wait for some kind of correction before putting new money into it. They are multi-year story. I think today only in the media I've read that the export of defense is becoming a larger and larger theme. So obviously there are a lot of opportunities, but at this valuation, it is better to wait for a dip before deploying new capital into this space.
Okay. Amar, getting you into the conversation as far as the PSU pack is concerned, you've offered your view on defense, but a lot of low ticket, high beta items are back in the grain as far as PSU banks are concerned, as far as stocks like BHEL, Engineers India are concerned. Any one or two stocks technically on the charts that look good to you?
See, if you ask me, first I'll talk about BHEL. So BHEL, what we witnessed was a significant correction, and then the stock has bounced back. The long-term trend continues to be very strong for BHEL, but the intermediate-term trend, there is a clear lack of momentum. So what it effectively tells me that there could be the stock could be in for consolidation. So 275 on the upside and 200 on the downside. That's the range which I see for BHEL. If I look at the other stock which you mentioned, Engineers India Limited. So if I look at Engineers India Limited, this is one stock again looking at a bounce back, but again on the upside 230 to 40 is a possible target for the stock. But again, it's a range play for both of these stocks.
Okay, I would have taken the view from Devarsh on HDFC Bank, but I'm sure he'll decline. But what are the charts of India's largest private sector bank, Amar, are telling you the stock is highest since 2nd of Feb. What is the prognosis?
See, if you look at HDFC Bank, this is one stock which really hasn't performed at all over the last many years. And I've been repeatedly saying for many quarters that this stock isn't really going anywhere, even in a hurry. And that's what it appears to be, because the long-term charts, they have no trend at all. So there's a complete lack of trend on the long-term charts, intermediate-term trend also. So it's more of a consolidation. Any pullback towards 1400, 1420 is the buying level. Upside is around 1540, 1550. That's a range, short-term range for HDFC Bank.
Right. We have the pre-open trades in front of us. The Nifty, as we had decided early morning, is opening on a slight back foot. 27 points, 23 points lower, 22,485. It's a 120 point cut on the bank Nifty, 47,450. And the IT index is opening 0.5% lower at 34,880. The Nifty 500, ladies and gentlemen, is in the green. Now let's look at the heavyweights. I first want to see what is Infosys doing. It's 9 rupees 50 paisa lower, 1486. Reliance is 8 rupees 75 lower, 2962. Let's look at HDFC Bank, about 2 rupees lower, 1469. How about ICICI Bank? It's 8 rupees lower, 1091. The stocks that are in the green, Tata Motors, 994. It's about flat. L&T, fresh record high, 38.39, but it's hardly any move. And Lever, 22.89, about 3 rupees higher. We'll shift focus to F&O immediately. Let's look at the top gainers here. Aditya Birla Fashion Retail. The demerger news happening for the stock. The counter is up 9%, 10% almost, 232.80. Remember, this is the first circuit. Interglobe Aviation, 3607. Problems at its peer Vistara are helping the stock now. Fresh record high, 1.6% higher. Adani Ports, yesterday's 5% gain is followed by 2.7% uptick today, 1413. And Bajaj Auto, 1.75% higher, 9200. BEL, the company had announced its full year numbers yesterday, 214.70, heading for record high. A very quick look at NSE 500. Data patterns 5.5% higher, 2706. We have Adani Power again 4% higher, CSB Bank 3.9% higher, NBCC India 4.5% higher. Let's look at the PSU basket where you have very strong gains coming in. IREDA 5% higher, 149.75. You have Dredging Corporation 2.3% higher, 730. How about the defense space? It was clicking very sharply yesterday. Again, the momentum is on the wrong side. BEL 1.9% higher, 215.30. And of course, Hindustan Aeronautics, Cochin Shipyard, Garden Reach in the green. Very quickly to you, Amar, a quick view on BEL. What are the charts telling you?
So if I look at BEL, this stock is definitely, I would say, very strong on the long-term charts. Intermediate term trend, we are seeing some sort of consolidation after post the correction that was in the first week of March. And the stock is inching towards those highs because that was around 216, 217. It's around 215 right now. So I would say that those who are long, they should rather look at booking profits rather than entering at the current levels. Because if the stock sustains above the 216, 220 zone, then you could expect an upside rally towards 235, 240 levels. Otherwise, the stock would be in for consolidation. But the long-term uptrend remains extremely strong and positive. So these are stocks where on any significant correction, it's a buying opportunity. There's no doubt about it.
Okay. First, Amar, if you could give us your view on Adani Ports. 3%, 3.2% higher. It's the top mover on the Nifty. Citi came out with its buy report on this one, raised the target prices to 1758. The stock has been on a constant uptrend. Where next do you see the stock move, and is this also a fresh buying opportunity?
Adani Ports, the way the stock has taken off, because if we look at the charts, so somewhere from February onwards, the stock was trading around 1300, 1350 levels. And now the stock is trading around 1420 odd levels. It has taken out some very crucial resistance zones. And also, if you look at the way the stock had corrected in the second week of March, so that was on significant heavy volume. So that means there's a lot of buying also that had come in at lower levels, so around 1180, 1200 levels. And the stock is up there. The stock is very strong on the long-term chart. So yes, the stock has a potential to rally significantly higher towards the 1540, 1560 zone from a short-term perspective. So one can look at adding the stocks, but at the same time, one needs to always bear in mind that whenever any stock trades at record highs, you have to be prepared for increased volatility in the stocks.
Okay. Devarsh, let me get your view in on the power space. Adani Power is also moving up 5% higher in trade. There's a strong move on NTPC Coal India, which have been outperformers of the past as well. Even stocks like IREDA are coming back in action on the back of news flows that their loan sanctions for Q4 have jumped over 100%. How are you looking at this entire power space, and which would be your top stocks that you'll continue to bet on for the new fiscal year?
So it is a long-term thing. Obviously, as the growth in the economy is there, we will require higher and higher electricity demand, and we are seeing a lot of players now reaching a capacity where they are obviously running at a higher PLFs. But these are beginning of the last year, January, February, we had come out with the recommendations on them. Many of them have gone up 40-50% higher than our target. So at this valuation, I don't see any new opportunity to deploy new capital into it. But if there were to correct a little bit, NTPC, Power Grid, then CSC, these are the players, Torrent Power, Tata Power, these are the players where we will be looking at opportunities. From a trading perspective, there is some upside in Tata Power, and our technical team has come out with some recommendation where there is still some 8% upside. But for a longer term investors, I would actually wait for some correction before, some pullback in prices before deploying any fresh capital into power space.
Okay. And on the stock that is moving on the back of news flows, Aditya Birla Fashion and Retail 10% higher on the demerger news. What kind of value unlocking do you see for Aditya Birla Fashion and Aditya Birla Capital shareholders as well, if it means anything for these two companies and for all those existing shareholders?
So clearly, this is a move in the right direction. This has a company has disappointed investors for a long, and again, beginning of February month, we had reviewed this, and our recommendation was sell. We were waiting for such corporate actions to play out. Now, post this, our team will again review it, but around 240 odd levels, we had come out with a recommendation where our fair value was much lower at around 160, 170. So I would wait for this new corporate action to come out. We'll have more clarity, and then again we will review and come out with a new recommendation. Right now, I'm not asking. We are not asking investors to put money here.
Okay, let's pay attention back to the Nifty. You have 22,424 in front of. This is about 35 points lower. What's really interesting is that the first support level, which is 22,416, is now getting tested, and at that level, you see Reliance at its day's high. So these are the stocks that are trying to help the Nifty sort of bounce back, and it's the theme in the market, which is the heat wave that is afflicting North India, doing pretty well in the markets. I'll request the PCR to fire a live chart of Blue Star, and Amar, this is coming to you. How do you see the chart shaping up? You have a price of about 1303 as far as Blue Star is concerned, and a sharp uptick based on volume. So far, 51,000 shares have been traded in the first 5 minutes. Amar, your view on Blue Star?
Yeah, I would say if you look at Blue Star, this stock is very strong on the charts. There's no doubt about it. On the intermediate as well as the long-term trend. Short-term, however, we've seen the significant consolidation in the stock over the last, I would say, couple of months. And the stock had earlier made a high of 1359, 1360 levels. So it's trading, I would say, a couple of percentages below that level. But overall, the stock is positive, and the stock has got strong support coming around the 1200 level. So 1200 to 1350, 1360, that's a zone to watch out for this stock. Till the time it doesn't take out the 1350, 1360 zone, I would say that the stock could be in for consolidation. But overall, the long-term trend still remains strong for this.
Okay. In the same breath, we'll also look at Voltas. Remember, this is one stock that I had highlighted. It's opened gap up, and you have a price of about 1190. This is the second day of gains, and the volume is fairly substantial. Almost 4,49,000 shares have been traded. A quick view, Amar, on Voltas.
Yeah, Voltas is a better pick, I would say, as compared to the earlier stock which we talked about, because Voltas has broken out of a key resistance zone, because earlier the stock was unable to reach the 1130, 1140 zone. That has been taken out. And also, if you look at the volumes over the last 4 or 5 trading sessions, that has been more than average over the last a few trading sessions, technically very strong on the charts. And if you go back in time and look at the stock, so the stock in December of 2021 had traded as high as 1356 levels. So it's still a far off 10 to 15% from those levels. So there is a possibility that stock could catch up to those levels. So this is one stock one can definitely look at.
Okay, we'll mark Aditya Birla Fashion Retail again. The first circuit has opened, which was the 10% uptick. Now the counter is 11% higher. In fact, it went all the way up to 242. Well, it's a gap up, and it's the news is out. Let's avoid that. But I'm just marking the price in front of you. And the entire PSU banking setup is back to the fore. Let's look at the broader markets before we discuss that. Let's look at the Nifty PSU banking index, ladies and gentlemen. It's about 0.5% higher right there in front of you, and it's quoting at about 71.41. 11 out of 12 shares are in the green, and you have Union Bank at 158.10. You have Indian Overseas Bank at 65.25. You have the likes of Central Bank moving up very well. Amar, anything in the PSU banking basket, the low ticket high beta stocks, IOB, UCO Bank, Central Bank, Punjab, and anything that catches your fancy on the long side?
So if we look at the PSU banks, I would say, if I'm talking about the PSU bank, so I see that if I look at Bank of India, this is one stock which is trying to break out. Currently, it's around 142 odd levels. But again, on the upside, seems to be capped around 150, 155 levels. The other stock to look at, if I look at the PSU bank, is Canara Bank. So Canara Bank is also trying to breach the 600 level. So this is one stock one can definitely keep a watch on Canara Bank. If the stock sustains above the 600 to 620 zone, you could see a significant rally in this stock. This is one stock you should keep a watch on.
Okay, Amar, I'd like to draw your attention to an FMCG stock which is moving up in the future space, and that is Colgate Palmolive, 2% higher in trade right now. What do the charts suggest here? Of course, FMCG has been a space which has clearly underperformed over the last 1 to 2 years odd, but some of these stocks have been gathering some steam. Is there merit to look at some of these stocks?
Yeah, you see, if you look at Colgate Palmolive, this is one stock which definitely has bucked the trend and has been on a spectacular bull rally. There's no doubt about it. The stock is very strong on the long-term charts. Intermediate term trends, some of the technical indicators points towards overheating in the particular stock. So that's the reason we could witness some consolidation. The best part is, one good part is that significant volumes have been high on in the second week of March for Colgate Palmolive. So that tells me that despite these levels, there is some buying interest in the stock. But at current levels, I wouldn't recommend because on the intermediate term trend, there is some of the indicators are pointing towards overheated in the market.
Okay. Devarsh, let me get you into the conversation. Is consumption a theme you would actively look at in the new fiscal year, and which part of consumption would you be more bullish on?
So consumption clearly is a long-term theme, but the valuation in these companies are not up to our expectation, our value investing criteria. We have a reduced rating on most of the FMCG companies like Britannia, Colgate, Imami. Where there is some upside is stocks like Dabur or Marico, but that upside is not more than 10-15% here, 5-7%. So I would not, as a retail investor, we don't have to put money into all these spaces. There are opportunities on the private sector bank, on NBFCs, on other areas like metals, where there is more money to be made. So I think we will focus there rather than the FMCG space.
Okay. Would you then look at the oil and gas space favorably? We're looking at crude oil prices inching up higher, and we've also seen a lot of action in both the upstream as well as the downstream companies over the last 6 months odd. How would you be looking at them afresh now? Again, today we are seeing some moves. So on stocks like BPCL, they're inching up higher, 2%. ONGC constantly moves on the upside as well. How should one be really positioned here?
So in oil and gas space, one space where we are asking investors to put fresh capital and invest for the long-term potential is the gas distribution space. Stocks like Mahanagar Gas are available at a quite attractive valuation right now. And because of some regulatory action, they had corrected and offering a very decent entry point at this moment. So gas, as we know, is one of the cleanest fuel, and there is a lot of space for these companies to expand on industrial side, on pipe natural gas side, and many cities are yet to be connected. So GAIL, Indraprasth Gas, MGL, these are the space where I think there is still decent upside left, and that's where I would putting money within the oil and gas space.
Okay, let's again focus back on the Nifty, ladies and gentlemen. The first 15 odd minutes have passed as far as trade is concerned, and the Nifty, as I had pointed out, has tested its first support level. The view was to buy the dip, and that's happened fairly well. Now 22,490 for you, about 29 points higher. And let's look at the pullers and draggers. That will give you an indication the stock and the theme that is running up. Like I had mentioned right early, Reliance contributing 10 points, Bajaj Auto contributing 6 points, HDFC Bank contributing 5 points, and Adani Ports and Tata Motors roughly 5 and 3 points respectively. What is pulling the index down? ICICI Bank pulling the index down by about 16 points. TCS and Infosys, while a clear trend is not emerging, but the theme is to break past 22,500. Amar, coming to you, we are already on 2nd of April, and how about the 22,500 call as far as the Nifty is concerned for the week after, which would be 10th of April? Let me just get this chart ready for you. It's trading at about 176 rupees, 22,500 Nifty call expiring on 10th of April. Would you want to comment on this one?
Yeah, so if I look at, first of all, I look at the derivatives data. So there is basically short covering that has been happening in Nifty over the last 4 or 5 trading sessions. So that's one point that needs to be highlighted. Secondly, if I look at the other piece of data on the options side, so the total call options as well as the put options. If I look at, there is more puts in the system, so that's a bullish trend. So that is one positive side. If I look at what needs to be done, definitely any pullback is a buying opportunity in Nifty till the time we see a trend change. So at the current levels, I wouldn't recommend buying because the stock is close to its all-time high. So it had made a high of 529 and then 22,525. So it's more or less inching towards that levels. But one good, interesting part is on the daily charts, there is some of the technical indicators are indicating strong momentum. So if this momentum were to stay, so sustaining above the 22,500, 520, then we could witness a sharp rally because many of the shorts that have been built into the system, the stop losses would get triggered. So that would lead to a further sharp rally in Nifty, and also that would coincide with some of the heavyweights also moving up significantly. So wait till the time 22,500 levels is reached, then one can look at entering into a call option.
Okay, a couple of stocks that I'd like to mark which are now showing momentum. HDFC Bank, ladies and gentlemen, 1487. This was what was highlighted in early trade as well. And what's really good is that in the early part of the day, you see fairly strong volumes coming into HDFC Bank. About 400 crores have already been traded, and I see very strong block deals happening. Much as I would like Devarsh to comment, which he will not, but Amar, to you, HDFC Bank, strong gains coming in.
Yeah, so HDFC, if you look at the charts on the short-term, intermediate term trend, clearly it's been trying to form a bottom. And the bottom is definitely there in place. The stock is trading around the 1485 levels. But if I look at the higher zones, so where the stock is likely to meet with resistance, so the stock has a potential to rally at least towards 1520, 1540, 1550 zone. That's a zone of crucial zone of resistance for the stock. But the short-term, I would say, trend is, I would say, positive. So there is a possibility that we could witness some upside in this particular stock towards 1530 to 1550 zone, where we could witness some profit booking in the stock.
Okay, let's mark a few stocks then which are trading at 52-week high levels. We've already discussed Adani Ports, that's at a 52-week high level. We've discussed Colgate Palmolive, that's also at a 52-week high. There's EIH, that's 2% higher and hovering around 485. That's again a 52-week high level for the stock. Action Construction is a stock that's moved up almost 4% higher in trade at 1695. That one is at a 52-week high as well. HEG, that moved up about 4%. 2068 is the level it touched, which is a 52-week high for this one. Schneider Electric is another one that's moved up higher in trade to a 52-week high level of 817 in trade. Anything from this basket of stocks, Amar, that you would like to track for momentum?
Yeah, I would say that East India Hotels is one stock which is very strong on the charts. If we go back in time, I would say in February of 20th February, the stock had made a high of 485. Currently, it's around those levels only. Taking that out would mean that the stock has a potential to rally towards the 525, 550 levels. And also, the stock is breaking out after a long time. We'll have to see that the stock needs to sustain above the 485, 490 zone. That's the level to watch out for the stock. But the stock is in a very strong uptrend.
Okay. Let me draw, Devarsh's attention to some of these stocks again and ask Devarsh, would you like to track any of the hotel stocks? We have seen it emerge as a big theme in the previous fiscal year. A lot of stocks really showing up, strong momentum, stocks like IHCL, Lemon Tree, EIH, all of them moved up. How would you look at some of them now for the new fiscal year? Is that a theme that one should continue to trace?
So as you said, many of these stocks have done remarkably well. We had Indian hotels under coverage. There the prices have gone beyond our target. Lemon Tree is one which is very interesting. They are continually expanding. The growth is going to be there in the key rooms. So there is still some upside left. Around 152 was our target in the beginning of February. So there is still some 10% upside in Lemon Tree. So on it, and any correction into the hotel space, maybe one can look at Lemon Tree for a longer term investment. But overall, from COVID, one of the most performing theme has been the hotels, and now we should be a little cautious in putting new money at this space. There will be an opportunity down the line where corrections are there, and then we can look at this space.
Okay, fair enough. Well, on that note, many thanks, Devarsh, for being with us on the show and sharing with us all those wonderful ideas and insights into the markets. Good to have you with us, and we'll have you back on the show very soon. Many thanks for being with us. Amar, to you, any of the hotel stocks that Devarsh also pointed out, would you like to trace any of them for momentum on the technical charts purely?
So, if I look at the stocks EIH, which I already mentioned, the other stock to look at is from the hotel industry is, I would say, Lemon Tree is one stock which is trying to rally because the stock did witness some significant correction, but now it's trying to inch up. But for the stock to witness a significant rally, the stock needs to sustain above the 145, 150 zone, so which was its all-time high levels as well. So that's a level to watch out for. Trading above that level, then only one can look at entry from a short-term perspective. Otherwise, I would say it's in for consolidation.
It's 9:40, ladies and gentlemen. We'll take a detour into the markets and then look at how prices are moving up. Let's look at the advanced decline ratio. That will give you an idea how the broader markets are. And it's fairly in favor of bulls. 1,450 stocks on the National Stock Exchange are in the green compared with 550. So decent 2.75:1, which will roughly translate into 5:2. Now, what are the stocks, what are the indices that are doing fairly well? This is the second day of sharp gains on the realty index, 1% higher, 949. You actually have a mid-cap, small-cap day today. The small-cap index is 0.5% higher, 15,862, and out of 100 shares, 69 are in the green. The mid-cap index is similarly 0.5% higher, out of 100 again, 68 in the green. The NSE 500 about a third of a percent higher, and 350 shares in the green. So the action, ladies and gentlemen, seems to be concentrated in the broader markets. You have a flat kind of a view coming in as far as the main index, the Nifty and the Bank Nifty are concerned. The IT index is now 0.5% lower. Let's look at the volume buzzers within the specific themes. We've discussed Aditya Birla Fashion Retail. Another stock that's catching my fancy is CSB Bank. This is about 379, 3% higher. What's really interesting is that about 1.5 times the 5-day average has already been traded. Amar, coming to you, almost 3 lakh shares right there in front of you as far as CSB Bank is concerned. What are the charts telling you?
Yeah, I would say if I look at CSB Bank, the stock witnessed some sharp correction and from almost 420 levels, and then currently it's around 380. So the stock definitely seems to have formed a bottom, and the stock is trying to move higher. So in the first week of February, it had made a high of almost 400 levels. Currently, it's around 380. So what it effectively tells me is that there is some upside to the stock, but more or less it's a consolidation, because till the time we don't see the stock taking out its all-time highs, the stock could witness a 5 to 7% move up on the upside, or maybe towards consolidation. So this is one stock one can look from a trading perspective. The ranges are very clear: 320 on the downside and 400 on the upside.
Fair point. That's the view coming in, and power theme that Sakshi had picked up is doing fairly well. Tata Power days high 411.70. You have a 5% circuit on Adani Power for the second day in a row, and a whole host of other power stocks are clicking fairly well. I can't take my eye away from HDFC Bank. Ladies and gentlemen, there is a change of digit. HDFC Bank in futures is now at 1505, and the good part about that is that the 1500 level, ladies and gentlemen, has been reclaimed after Jan 19. So essentially a fresh, you would say, 3.5 month high, and this comes at a time when the credit policy meeting, the Monetary Policy Committee meeting, will start tomorrow. The RBI has its credit policy decision coming in on Friday, and across the spectrum, PSU banks, private sector banks are in the green, led of course by the top man in the space, HDFC Bank. It'll be interesting to watch the volume number on HDFC Bank. It gives you a fresh idea. Yes, about 727 crores worth of transactions have happened on HDFC Bank, 1493 in cash, 1.5% higher. Sakshi.
Right. The real estate space, there is no let up in this kind of a move that we are seeing. Again, a percent higher for the Nifty Realty in trade today. I'll come back to you, Amar, on those stocks like Prestige Estates, 3.5% higher at day's high now. Godrej Properties, again a 3% up move. Oberoi Realty, Phoenix Mills, Sobha, all of them showing some uptick as of now. Brokerage houses are upbeat on the space as well. Any particular top 2 trades that you can tell us that investors can track, from the real estate pack?
Yeah, I would say that Sobha is one stock one they can definitely keep a watch on, because the stock witnessed some correction from almost 1700 levels currently, and then it had come down all the way down to 1200. Now it's back towards 1600 levels, 1570. So on the charts, the stock continues to remain very strong and firm. On the upside, the stock would meet with some resistance around the 1650, 1675 zone. So that's a zone one where one can look at booking profits. On the downside, the stock has got very strong support coming around the 1350, 1360 zone. So any pullback can be a buying opportunity, but the levels to watch out for is 1670, 1680 on the upside, and I would say somewhere around 1400 levels, 1360, 1400 levels on the downside.
Okay. The other stock that I suddenly, saw is Z Entertainment Enterprises. It's up 7.5% as one of the top movers in the F&O space. We do know the entire history of news developments, Amar, the way the stock has been extremely volatile, and of course a pain point for all the investors who have been either looking at the stock promisingly at lower levels or holding on with promise that the stock will come back. How would you really advise investors afresh with this kind of a move? Because in the F&O action, it shows a very strong uptick today.
Yeah, see, the couple of things which I would like to talk about Z, that whenever, and not only for Z, for any company, whenever there is any news which is with the markets are really deciphering and markets are not very clear upon, it's best to stay away from the stock, because if you look at Z, the stock has been a wealth destroyer from almost, if I go back in time, in March 2018, the stock used to trade around 619 levels, and at least around 150 odd levels. So it has been a significant correction in the stock. Even if you look at the when the news flows and all that started coming in, the stock was in for the trend was down. So despite the Indian markets and stocks and all that being in a bull rally, this is one stock which has been in a perennial bear market. So don't get into stocks which are in long-term structural bear markets. Don't get into that. Rather, you should look at getting into stocks which are in a bull market. That's one. Looking at the levels, I would say the stock seems to have formed some base around the 138, 140 levels. Upside, the stock could rally towards the 155, 160 zone. So that's a level to watch out for. I wouldn't recommend, or I have not been talking about this stock for investing from a very long-term perspective as well.
Okay. So that's as far as the entertainment is concerned. The markets right now have flattened out as far as the Nifty is concerned. 22,452 is the level at which, with slight lower ticks, is what Nifty is trading at. But it's the broader markets where action is picking up. The mid-cap 100 index has, from the lower point up, is up now about 300 odd points. The small caps are up by about half odd percent as well. Anything from the mid and the small cap basket that you'd like to highlight, Amar, that catches your attention at this point in time in terms of either sectoral move or specific stock?
Yeah, so if I look at some stocks, NBCC is one stock one can look at. The stock is around 127 odd levels. The stock had witnessed a significant correction from almost 180 levels. So this is a stock has a potential to rally towards the 145, 150 levels. The stock seems to have formed a base. So crucial support for the stock is below the 110 levels. This is one stock one can keep a close watch on.
Okay, let's. It's already 9:50. Sakshi's marked the Nifty, which is absolutely flattened out. What's ticking is, I think, the oil marketing space, the BPCL 615.85, IOC 172.65. Let's see how the open interest picture on the oil and gas is shaping up. You've seen pretty strong gains coming in as far as the prices are concerned. BPCL, the open interest is 2.6% higher. For IOC, it's 0.5% higher. Nothing much happening there, and even for HPCL, 0.6% higher. So I think BPCL is something that we should be looking at, 615 as far as prices are concerned, and it's a 2-week high. We'll let the trend sort of establish itself, but there's no stopping Voltas, ladies and gentlemen. 1210. Remember, the early morning picture was a low of 1160, and we had marked the stock before markets had opened, so maybe you took benefit from that. Amar, you've already indicated your preference of Voltas over Havells and Blue Star. This is something that probably you would want to revisit.
Yeah, I would say that looking at Havells, which you mentioned, this is also one stock which continues to remain strong and firm, but upside seems to be capped around the 1600 level. So Voltas would be a better choice, because see, what's happening on the Havells is the intermediate term trend is not very strong. In Voltas, the intermediate term trend has turned very strong, and the momentum is there. So that's one stock to look at amongst these a couple of ticks.
Okay, let's look at some rankings that are coming in as far as futures are concerned. Okay, strength in ABRFL and Havells. We've also discussed both of these stocks. I think some attention needs to be paid to the cement space. Buzzing in trade is Ambuja Cement. Amar, would you have a view on this one?
Yeah, so looking at Ambuja Cement is quite strong on the charts, but if I look at on the daily charts, the stock is inching towards its all-time high. So it's trading close to its all-time high. So that's one positive aspect. But some of the technical indicators, they point towards consolidation. So it could be that the stock could go in for consolidation, because the risk-reward ratio also needs to be carefully kept in mind when entering into any stock at record highs. So I would say that rather stay away from the stock at the current levels.
Okay, well, on that note, thanks a lot, for being with us on this show and sharing with us all your wonderful insights and various stock ideas that you've shared with all our viewers. Truly appreciate your presence here, and we will get you back on the show very soon. Meanwhile, the markets are down about 50 odd points, so absolutely flat trade in the offing, 22,447 as far as the Nifty is concerned. It's the Nifty Bank that's trying to pull up about 0.1% higher in trade on the back of stocks like HDFC Bank, IndusInd Bank that are showing some green ticks as of now. 47,629 on the Nifty Bank. It's the broader markets that are doing better. Of course, yesterday was the day that they really pulled up in trade, and they're continuing with that action. So the small caps are up by 0.6% odd, mid caps up by 0.5% as well. Sectorally, the action looks positive across the board. Consumer durables is taking away in trade today, about 1.8% higher in trade after a long haul. This entire space is abuzz with action. Oil and gas, realty, PSU banks, metals, they all also pull up in trade, barring the losses that are being seen on the IT, the healthcare index, and the financial services. Rest of the sectors are all up and about. It is the IT space that's really dragging. No participation really coming in from there. 0.5% lower for the Nifty IT, and about the similar trend on the downside as far as the healthcare pack is concerned. FNO space, Aditya Birla Fashion, clearly the top of the charts, 12.5% higher in trade. Z Entertainment, Voltas, BEL, SRF also up and about, and apart from this, Brokerage Properties and Havells are the other stocks that are moving up as far as the futures action is concerned. On the Nifty, you have BPCL as the top mover, 2.4% higher. Dani Ports, 2% higher in trade. Bajaj Auto, right after the sales figures for the month of March have been reported, about a 24% uptick on a year-on-year basis on the total sales, and therefore you see a 1.5% uptick on this one. Titan, ONGC, Tata Motors, IndusInd Bank, HDFC Bank are the top movers. What's not moving on the Nifty, what's still a laggard, you will definitely see stock like ICICI Bank, Bajaj Finance, Hero Moto, Bajaj Finserv, TCS and Wipro as among those that are dragging the index as of now. Time to wind up this special edition, but do stay tuned on to Business Today TV as we will continue to track more developments from the world of stock markets for you up on your screens very soon. Stay with us.
One of Bollywood's biggest comedy stars in the 1980s and 1990s, a Congress MP from Mumbai known for his frequent absence from Parliament during the first term of Manmohan Singh government. Govinda Arun Ahuja has re-entered the political arena after a 14-year hiatus.
2004 से 9 तक में था, फिर मतलब के पॉलिटिक्स में 4 से 9 था और वो 14वीं लोकसभा थी. ये कमाल का इत्तेफाक है, ये सत्य है, सच का ये 14वीं लोकसभा थी. उसके 14 वर्ष बाद मैं आज पुनः मैं आया हूँ इस जगह पे.
The 60-year-old Bollywood actor has joined Maharashtra Chief Minister Eknath Shinde's Shiv Sena party. Sources within the party suggest Govinda may contest from a Mumbai Lok Sabha constituency. The star is now part of the trend of celebrities vying for parliamentary seats in the 2024 general elections. Take a look at the BJP's lineup. Kangana Ranaut from Mandi, Arun Govil from Meerut, Hema Malini from Mathura, Ravi Kishan from Gorakhpur, Manoj Tiwari from Northeast Delhi, Suresh Gopi from Thrissur and several others. The TMC celebrity candidates include, among others, Yusuf Pathan from Bahrampur, Kirti Azad from Bardhaman Durgapur, Shatrughan Sinha from Asansol and Sayoni Ghosh from Jadavpur. Continuing the long-standing practice of blending fame with politics.
In the Rouse Avenue court, the legal teams of the Enforcement Directorate and the Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal clashed over his custody in the alleged 100 crore Liquorgate scam. Barely a few kilometers away, the Ministry of External Affairs hit out at foreign powers interfering in India's internal affairs.
The recent remarks by the State Department are unwarranted. Any such external imputation on our electoral and legal processes is completely unacceptable. In India, legal processes are driven only by the rule of law.
In New Delhi, to express India's displeasure at the US commenting on Kejriwal's arrest and trial in court, India lodged a strong objection and protest with the US Embassy officials saying that the US State Department comments on Kejriwal's arrest and trial were completely unacceptable and totally unwarranted. Earlier, the US, in an email reply to Reuters, said, "We encourage a fair, transparent and timely legal process for Chief Minister Kejriwal." The US was not the only country to have commented on India's internal affairs. Germany too stands accused of interfering in India's internal affairs.
Also wir haben den Fall zur Kenntnis genommen.
We have taken a note of the case. India is a democratic nation. We assume and expect that the standards relating to the independence of judiciary and basic democratic principles will also be applied in this case. Like anyone facing accusations, Mr. Kejriwal is entitled to a fair and impartial trial.
Anspruch auf ein faires, unvoreingenommenes Verfahren.
New Delhi conveyed both to Washington DC and to Berlin that any country